Hey guys, this is the video lecture series for Chapter 8, which covers how economists measure the economy's performance. So just a little introduction to get you thinking about economic performance. As it turns out, the underground economy, which is the total value of expenditures on final goods and services, that aren't counted in official tabulations of a nation's total production, which we learned about in the last chapter, is about 6%. So that's in the United States, relatively low. But in other countries, it's as much as 1/3 of their economy is underground and not accounted for. Now, to measure the value of underground activities, we first have to understand how the official measure works when we're looking at a nation's total production of goods and services. And that's the key topic of this chapter, is how to measure that economic performance in terms of total production. So our learning objectives for this chapter will be first to be able to describe something called the circular flow of income and output in an economy. Next, we'll want to be able to define what gross domestic product is, which we will abbreviate as GDP. And we also want to be able to explain what its limitations are. We also want to be able to explain the different approaches to tabulating GDP. There are 3 different approaches, but we're going to focus on only 2. We're going to focus on the expenditure approach and the income approach. We also want to be able to discuss the most important components of national income. And then lastly, we want to be able to distinguish between nominal GDP and real GDP. And so in order to achieve these objectives, we'll go through the chapter according to this outline here. Now, before we dive into it, here's some food for thought. Did you know that most estimates indicate that China's overall wealth, meaning the market value of the stock, of all the natural resources, physical and human capital, and other resources that China has, was less than half of the value of U.S. wealth by the end of 2017. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. And keep in mind, China has a lot more people, almost 4 times as many people as us, but they have half the wealth. However, measured in market prices, the annual flow of production of final goods and services, China, it might have surpassed that of the U.S. And actually, it didn't. These slides are a few years old, and it turns out that China has yet to surpass us in terms of the production of final goods and services, at least the amount that we can account for. And so these issues that are pretty important to global politics directly involve measuring the performance of national economies. So that's basically, we're going to be utilizing something called national income accounting, right? Looking at these flows.